This is for 7th grade still life. So our still life is here on the middle of the table. So what you're going to end up doing is first kind of deciding, we want to think about the composition of the whole entire thing. So my suggestion to you, instead of ending up drawing the whole entire thing, which would take a lot longer, it's not as interesting to look at. Plus, you might end up drawing it too small and have a lot of negative space around the outside. So my suggestion to you is to kind of crop in to a nice view and zoom in. Kind of taking a certain part and maybe cutting off different parts of different objects. So what you're going to do is you are going to have a square piece of paper. My suggestion is to kind of fold it into more of a rectangle right away, because your final paper is going to end up being a rectangle. So something like this. First you're going to start where you are sitting originally. So you're going to pick somewhere that you can see from your spot that you are seated at. And again, you want to draw really big. You don't want to end up drawing small itty bitty apple, itty bitty basket, and then end up drawing everything you see. So you don't want to draw something really small and end up having all this negative space around it. I'm going to erase that quick. And you know what? I am going to grab a marker so you can see a little better of what I'm doing instead of my pencil. Okay, so I'm going to end up zooming in, so that way I don't have to draw any of the flowers if I don't want to. And I'm going to kind of do something like this. So you will need a total of at least 4 objects in your drawing. However, you can't omit anything. So if you end up drawing smaller than your original plan, you need to end up drawing everything you totally see. Okay, so I can zoom in so close to where I have my paper, my blue paper, which counts as an object, my pear, my basket, part of my apple, and part of my tin. So really that's 5 things. So I'm going to draw really big. And half of my pear is going to be on half of my paper here. So I'm going to start drawing. And as you go, what you want to do, you want to make sure that your objects overlap each other. So I wouldn't actually see the full entire pear, so because my basket cuts half of it off here. Maybe see a little bit part of the stem here. I can see the inside of my basket. I'll hold it up here in a second so you can see. Okay, so here's the inside bottom. Here's the inside side that you will see. And I need to draw the paper, the blue paper that it's sitting on. It's coming out. Comes off my paper. I will see my tin can up here. Comes out from the top of my basket. My apple is sitting directly on top of my tin. So this is what I got so far. Apple, pear, tin, basket, paper. And I would actually see, so I already have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 objects. But because I have this space here and my vase is so close to my apple, I also need to draw a part of that as well. So it would end up looking something like this, is kind of how I ended up seeing it. Okay? Once you have it all drawn out, so this is, just remember, this is your rough draft. I don't want you to spend hours and hours on this. I just want you to get the base of it. Then before you can get up and move to a different side of your still life, you need to add cross contour lines to your objects. So, like my pear, I can start at the top and come down and add those lines. I could go do those curved lines instead. Remember, this is why we put it in our notes, so if you need to go back and check, that would be a great idea if you don't remember how to do it. My apple. Adding my lines to my apple. Adding my lines to my jar. My suggestion to you is, so for my apple, I could have gone this direction with my lines. However, if I would go this direction with my lines on my tin can as well, they kind of end up blending together. So try and do the opposite for objects next to each other. Okay, so if I look at my basket, the bottom of my basket is flat, so that means my lines are also going to be flat. I should not have curved lines for flat objects. Okay. For the sides of my basket, I could go and curve them right around. What I don't want you to do, so something like that. What I don't want you to do is actually draw these little squares in there. Don't do that. We're just looking for the basic cross contour lines. You also need to add cross contour lines to that blue paper. And the paper is flat, so again, my lines are going to be straight. Okay, so my paper, my basket, my pear, apple, tin can, which also needs lines on the top of my tin can, which is flat, so my lines are straight, and then vase. So once you are here, then you can get up, go to a different chair at your section of your table, and draw a second rough draft on the back. Okay, so it has to be two different views. They cannot be the same for both of your rough drafts. If you get done with both of them, I would also like you to see if you can find any shadows. So like under here, there's a shadow from the pear on the paper, or under here, the basket, or on the apple, there's a little shadow there as well. What you can do is to show those shadows is by adding more of those lines, going the same direction your first lines originally were going. So like I added shadow on my apple, but towards the bottom where it's getting less light, where you have more light up here. You can see that highlight there. So I just added more lines, short lines. The closer your lines are together, the darker it will be. Okay, so then same on my paper. I don't want to cross and go a different direction the lines are already going. I want to follow the lines. So here would be a shadow from my pear. Here would be a shadow from my basket. Adding more lines closer together, they can be as short as long as your shadow needs to be. Also, because this is the inside of my basket, this is the bottom inside, the bottom inside of your basket is getting the least amount of light. So I should also go back in, add more lines closer together, just on the bottom, which will help also pop out the bottom of the basket a little bit more, so you can tell the difference. So now it stands out just a little bit more from the edge here. Okay, if you have shadow on your vase, maybe there's only shadow on one side of the vase. So my lines are going same direction as my cross contour lines original were on there, but now I'm adding more and shorter ones. So now you can actually see different shadows that are happening within the objects. Okay, so we're going to be doing this 2 rough drafts, one on the front, one on the back. They must be different. You are going to want to zoom in. You're not going to want to end up drawing the whole entire thing. You need at least 4 objects. Remember, you can't take out anything. If you end up seeing it, you must draw it. And when you are done with both, pick which one you think is the best, and then you can start on your final copy. You will notice your paper is completely different sizes. So if I decided that this is the one I'm going to do out of my 2 rough drafts, I would then need to end up drawing it bigger, all the objects bigger, on this piece of paper. So my basket would end up taking up the majority of my paper there. And we're going to do this all in pencil, and then we'll talk about adding color and stuff later. But do your 2 rough drafts today. You get them done, ask for a medium-sized paper, and you're doing it in pencil. All right. Good luck. Email me if you have any questions.